Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What if the reason Allah has been making you wait is because the blessing He is preparing is far greater than the one you have been asking for? Think about that for a moment. Right now, you may feel forgotten, your du'as seem unanswered, the doors you desperately wanted keep closing, people you trusted have walked away, and every night you quietly ask yourself, Ya Allah, when will my life finally change? But what if your silent test is not proof that Allah is distant? What if it is proof that He is preparing you for something your heart is not yet ready to receive? My dear brothers and sisters, throughout the Quran, Allah shows us the same beautiful pattern again and again. Before Yusuf, alayhi salam, reached honor, there was betrayal. Before Musa, alayhi salam, witnessed the sea split, there was fear. Before Ibrahim, alayhi salam, witnessed the miracle, there was the fire. The test always came before the blessing, never after. So if your life feels unusually quiet, if your heart is tired from waiting, if you are beginning to wonder whether your du'as are still being heard, don't leave this reminder, because by the end of it, you may discover that the silent test you are living today is actually Allah's way of preparing the biggest blessing of your life. Before Allah sends a great blessing, He detaches your heart from everything else. The first blessing Allah gives is often not something that enters your life. It is something He gently removes from your heart. This is one of the hardest truths for us to accept, because when Allah begins preparing us for something greater, life does not always become easier first. Sometimes it becomes quieter. Sometimes it becomes emptier. Sometimes it feels as though everything you were depending on begins to slip away. The person you thought would always stay leaves. The opportunity you worked so hard for disappears. The plan you spent years building falls apart. And in those moments, your heart naturally asks, Ya Allah, why are you taking everything away from me? But what if Allah is not taking your future away? What if He is removing everything that is standing between you and your future? My dear brothers and sisters, Allah knows our hearts better than we know ourselves. Sometimes, without realizing it, we begin depending more on the gift than on the one who gave it. We start believing, if I have this person, I will finally be happy. If I get this job, then I will feel secure. If this one dream comes true, everything will be okay. Slowly, our peace becomes connected to people. Our happiness becomes connected to success. Our hope becomes connected to things that can disappear at any moment. But Allah never created your heart to depend on temporary things. He created it to depend on Him alone. That is why, before Allah places a great blessing into your hands, He often removes the unhealthy attachment from your heart. Not because He enjoys seeing you cry, not because He wants you to suffer, but because He loves you too much to let your heart become a prisoner of this world. Imagine carrying a cup that is already full. No matter how pure the water is, nothing more can fit inside. In the same way, if your heart is already filled with dependence on people, on money, on status, on worldly dreams, where will complete trust in Allah find space? Sometimes Allah empties the heart, so He can fill it with something far greater, with tawakkul, with peace, with certainty, with a closeness to Him that no worldly blessing could ever replace. Look at the lives of the prophets. Before Allah raised them to great honor, He first taught them complete reliance upon Him. When Nabi Ibrahim, alayhi salam, was thrown into the fire, no person could save him. No army could rescue him. Every worldly means had disappeared. Only Allah remained. And that was exactly where the miracle began. When Nabi Musa, alayhis salam, stood before the sea with Fir'aun's army behind him, there seemed to be no escape. The people around him saw only fear. But Nabi Musa, alayhis salam, said with complete certainty that Allah was with him. Moments later, the sea itself became a path. The miracle did not begin when the sea opened. It began when the heart relied completely upon Allah. This is how Allah prepares His believing servants. Before He changes your circumstances, He changes your heart. Before He opens new doors, He teaches you not to worship the doors. Before He gives you the blessing, He teaches you to love the giver more than the gift. Because every blessing in this world will one day come to an end. Money can disappear, people can leave, health can change, youth can fade, but the one heart that depends on Allah will never truly be empty. That is the heart that remains peaceful during hardship, grateful during ease, and hopeful in every situation. Perhaps that is why Allah allowed certain people to walk away. Perhaps that is why some of your plans never worked out. Perhaps that is why the door you desperately wanted remained closed. It was never because Allah wanted less for you. It was because He was preparing you for something greater than you could see. Remember this beautiful truth. Before Allah fills your hands with His greatest blessings, He often empties your heart of everything that keeps you from Him. And when your heart belongs completely to Allah, no blessing can make you arrogant. No loss can completely break you, because you have discovered the greatest treasure of all. Not the gift, but the giver. The longer Allah makes you wait, the more He is preparing you to receive. One of the most difficult tests a believer will ever face is not pain, it is waiting. Because pain has a reason you can often understand. But waiting leaves you with questions. Questions that echo through your heart late at night. Ya Allah, when will my dua be answered? When will my life finally change? When will this hardship come to an end? When will I see the wisdom behind all of this? And perhaps the hardest question of all, has Allah forgotten me? My dear brothers and sisters, never let Shaitan convince you that Allah's silence means Allah's absence. The one who hears the footsteps of a tiny ant on a dark rock during the darkest night has never stopped hearing your du'as. Not a single tear has escaped His knowledge. Not a single whisper has gone unheard. Not a single sincere prayer has been ignored. Allah is never late. He is never unaware. And He never delays without perfect wisdom. The problem is that we measure time with clocks. While Allah's plan is measured with perfect knowledge, we only see today. Allah sees your entire life. We only see this difficulty. Allah sees where this road will lead 5 years from now, 10 years from now, even on the day when we stand before Him. Sometimes we ask Allah for something because we believe it will make us happy. But Allah knows that if He gave it to us today, it might become the reason our hearts drift away from Him. Sometimes we ask for success, but success without preparation creates pride. Sometimes we ask for wealth, but wealth without gratitude creates heedlessness. Sometimes we ask for marriage, but marriage before emotional and spiritual maturity creates pain instead of peace. Allah is not only preparing the blessing, He is preparing the person who will receive it. Think about a farmer. He places a seed into the ground. The next morning, nothing appears to have changed. Another week passes. Still nothing. If someone judged only by what they could see, they would think the seed had died. But beneath the surface, something beautiful is happening. Roots are growing. Strength is developing. Life is forming where no human eye can see it. If the seed tried to break through the ground too early, it would never survive. It first needs deep roots. Your heart is much like that seed. While you are asking Allah to change your life, Allah may be strengthening your roots. He is growing patience inside you, teaching you sincerity, removing arrogance, increasing your dependence upon Him, building a faith that remains firm even when life becomes difficult. These are blessings that cannot be learned overnight. They are built through waiting. Look at the life of Nabi Yusuf, alayhis salam. As a young boy, Allah showed him a beautiful dream, a dream that promised honor, a dream that promised elevation. But that dream did not happen the next day or the next year. Before its fulfillment, he experienced betrayal by his own brothers. He was thrown into a deep well. He was separated from his beloved father. He was sold into slavery. He was falsely accused of a crime he never committed. He spent years in prison despite being innocent. Imagine how many times he could have wondered, when will Allah's promise come true? Yet every difficult chapter was preparing him for the next one. If Allah had made him a leader while he was still a young boy, would he have possessed the wisdom, the patience, the mercy, the strength that years of hardship gave him? No. The palace was always written for Yusuf. But first, Allah prepared Yusuf for the palace. Perhaps your blessing is the same. Perhaps your future is already written. Perhaps the dua you have repeated for years has already been accepted. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows there is still something your heart needs to learn before that blessing arrives. Maybe He is teaching you patience so you will not become impatient after success. Maybe He is teaching you gratitude before increasing your provisions. Maybe He is teaching you humility before giving you honor. Maybe He is teaching you to love Him more than the blessing itself, because the greatest danger is not waiting. The greatest danger is receiving everything you asked for, while forgetting the one who gave it to you. That is why Allah sometimes delays what you want, in order to protect what you need most, your relationship with Him. There is another beautiful wisdom behind waiting. Waiting reveals what truly lives inside the heart. Anyone can worship Allah when life is easy. Anyone can smile when every dua is answered immediately. But the believer who continues making salah, continues making dua, continues saying Alhamdulillah, even while waiting, that believer reaches a level of sincerity that cannot be bought with comfort. Every extra day of patience, every tear shed in tahajjud, every silent act of trust is seen by Allah. Nothing is wasted, not one moment, not one hardship, not one unanswered night. One day, perhaps much sooner than you expect, Allah will open the door you have been praying for. And when that day comes, you will not only thank Him for the blessing, you will thank Him for the waiting, because you will finally understand that if Allah had answered your dua when you wanted, you would have received something good, but by answering it when He chose, He gave you something far better. Never forget this, my dear brothers and sisters. Allah is never making you wait because He has forgotten you. He is making you wait because He is preparing your heart for a blessing so beautiful that one day you will look back at every delay, every tear, every lonely night, and you will quietly say, Alhamdulillah. Allah's timing was more beautiful than anything I could have planned for myself. When Allah makes life unusually quiet, He is working in ways you cannot see. There are seasons in life that almost every believer experiences. Not seasons filled with obvious hardship, and not seasons filled with obvious happiness. Just silence. The phone no longer rings the way it used to. The opportunities stop coming. The excitement slowly fades. Life becomes quieter than you ever expected. The days begin to look the same. You continue making your salah. You continue making dua. You continue asking Allah for guidance. But outwardly, nothing seems to change. And if you are not careful, this is the season where Shaitan begins whispering into your heart. He says, if Allah was going to answer your dua, He would have answered it by now. If Allah truly cared, things would already be different. Look at everyone else's life. They are moving forward. You are standing still. But my dear brothers and sisters, do not believe those whispers, because one of the greatest mistakes we make is believing that Allah only works when we can see something happening. The reality is exactly the opposite. Some of Allah's greatest works happen where human eyes can never reach. Think about the creation around you. A seed is buried deep beneath the earth. For weeks, nothing appears above the surface. If someone looked only with their eyes, they would say, nothing is happening. But beneath the soil, Allah is creating roots. Those roots spread quietly. No applause, no attention, no audience. Yet those hidden roots are the reason the tree will one day stand strong against powerful winds. Without hidden roots, there can never be lasting growth. Your heart is very similar. While you think nothing is changing, Allah may be growing roots inside your soul. Roots of patience, roots of sincerity, roots of complete trust, roots that will keep your faith standing even when life becomes difficult again. Subhanallah, look at how Allah creates a child. For months, the greatest miracle is hidden from the world. No one can see the tiny heart beginning to beat. No one can see the hands being formed. No one can see the eyes taking shape. Everything happens in complete silence. Yet every single day, life is growing exactly as Allah has planned. The silence never meant nothing was happening. The silence was the miracle itself. This is often how Allah works in our own lives. While you are waiting, Allah is arranging meetings you know nothing about. He is opening hearts you have never spoken to. He is removing obstacles you cannot see. He is protecting you from dangers you will never even discover. He is writing events that will completely change your future, all while your eyes see only an ordinary day. How many times have you looked back at your life and realized, if that door had opened, I would have walked into something harmful. If that relationship had continued, it would have broken my heart even more. If I had received what I wanted back then, I might have lost my relationship with Allah. At the time, you could not understand. Now, you thank Allah for what He did not give you. That is why a believer learns to trust even when the picture is incomplete, because Allah never asks you to understand every detail. He asks you to trust the one who understands every detail. Remember the story of Nabi Musa, alayhi salam. When he was a baby, his mother placed him into the river by Allah's command. Imagine how impossible that must have felt. A mother placing her beloved child into flowing water. To human eyes, it looked terrifying. It looked uncertain. It looked like everything was being lost. But Allah was already writing a future that no one could imagine. The river that seemed dangerous became the very path that carried Musa, alayhi salam, toward the destiny Allah had chosen for him. Even Pharaoh's palace, the place where danger seemed greatest, became the place where Allah protected him. Who could have planned such a thing except Allah? This is why we should never judge our lives only by what we see today. Allah is writing tomorrow while we are worrying about today. His knowledge reaches where our imagination cannot. There is another beautiful wisdom in quiet seasons. Silence removes distractions. When life becomes busy, it is easy to forget Allah. The heart becomes occupied with people, goals, money, recognition. But when Allah allows life to slow down, He gives your soul the chance to hear what the noise was covering. Perhaps He wants you to reconnect with the Quran. Perhaps He wants your tahajjud to become more sincere. Perhaps He wants you to discover that the peace you have been searching for was never hidden in people. It was always waiting in your relationship with Him. Sometimes Allah lovingly removes the noise because He wants your heart to hear His guidance more clearly. And there is something else we often forget. Silence is not always Allah saying no. Sometimes silence is Allah saying not yet, because there is a difference between a delayed blessing and a denied blessing. A delayed blessing is still on its way. It simply has not reached its appointed time. Allah has already written the exact day, the exact hour, the exact moment. Nothing can bring it earlier. Nothing can delay it beyond what He has decreed. So why exhaust your heart trying to force what only Allah controls? Why carry worries that belong only to Him? Instead, fill the quiet days with worship. Fill the waiting with gratitude. Fill the silence with remembrance of Allah, because every moment spent drawing closer to Him is never wasted. One day, without warning, Allah will open a door that no person could have opened. The call you never expected will come. The opportunity you thought was impossible will appear. The answer to the dua you almost stopped making will finally arrive. And in that beautiful moment, you will realize something that brings tears to your eyes. Allah was never absent. He was never delaying because He had forgotten you. He was working every single day, quietly, perfectly, mercifully, preparing a future that was far more beautiful than anything you could have imagined for yourself. So if your life feels unusually quiet today, do not fear the silence. The greatest changes in Allah's creation often begin where human eyes see nothing at all. Perhaps this quiet season is not the end of your story. Perhaps it is the chapter where Allah is writing the most beautiful part of it. The pain you cannot explain may be Allah's greatest mercy in disguise. There is a kind of pain that words cannot fully describe. It is the pain that arrives without warning. The pain that changes your heart overnight. The pain that leaves you asking questions no one around you can answer. Sometimes it is the loss of someone you deeply loved. Sometimes it is a dream that suddenly falls apart. Sometimes it is a betrayal you never expected. Sometimes it is a door that closes after years of effort. And sometimes it is simply a heavy feeling inside your heart that you cannot explain. You continue smiling in front of people, but when you are alone, you ask Allah, Ya Allah, why is this happening to me? What have I done wrong? Why does it hurt so much? My dear brothers and sisters, these questions do not make you weak. Even the prophets experienced moments of deep sadness. They cried. They felt loneliness. They experienced loss. But what made them different was that they never allowed pain to make them lose hope in Allah. One of the greatest mistakes we make is believing that every painful experience is a sign that Allah is displeased with us. But that is not always true. Sometimes the very thing that makes you cry is the thing Allah is using to save you. How many times have you looked back at your life and realized, if Allah had given me what I wanted, it would have destroyed me? At the time, you could not see it. Your heart only saw the disappointment. But years later, you saw the mercy hidden inside the delay. You saw the protection hidden inside the rejection. You saw the love of Allah inside the pain. This is because Allah sees what we cannot. We see one page. Allah sees the entire book. We see today. Allah sees every tomorrow. We judge by emotions. Allah judges by perfect wisdom. Imagine a small child sitting in a hospital. The doctor prepares an injection that will save the child's life. The child begins to cry. To the child, the injection feels cruel. The pain feels unnecessary. The child cannot understand that a few moments of pain are protecting them from something far worse. Now think about ourselves. How many times do we judge Allah's plan while seeing only one small moment of our lives? How many times do we assume that what hurts us today can never become a source of goodness tomorrow? Allah's wisdom is far greater than our understanding. He does not look only at your comfort. He looks at your akhirah. He looks at your faith. He looks at the condition of your heart. Sometimes Allah removes one blessing because He intends to give you 10 better ones. Sometimes He closes one door because behind it was a danger you never knew existed. Sometimes He delays your dream because He is protecting you from meeting the wrong people, making the wrong decisions, or entering the wrong season of your life. How many people thanked Allah years later for a marriage that never happened, for a business that never succeeded, for a journey that was cancelled, for a friendship that ended? At first, they cried. Later, they thanked Allah, because only with time did they realize Allah had been protecting them all along. Subhanallah. There are also hardships that carry a different kind of mercy. They wake up the sleeping heart. When life becomes comfortable, it is easy to become distracted. Our salah becomes rushed. Our Quran remains closed. Our du'as become shorter. We begin thinking we are in control. Then suddenly, a test arrives. And for the first time in months, or even years, we stand in the middle of the night raising our hands to Allah with complete sincerity. Not because someone told us to, but because our hearts finally remembered where true help comes from. The hardship did not push us away from Allah. It pushed us back to Him. And what greater mercy could there be than a hardship that brings a servant closer to their Lord? Many people spend years searching for peace in money, in relationships, in success, in people's approval, but they never find it. Then one difficult test enters their life, and through that test, they discover Allah in a way they never had before. They begin tasting the sweetness of sincere dua, the peace of tawakkul, the comfort of the Quran, the beauty of sujood made with tears. These treasures are often found in places where comfort could never lead us. This does not mean we ask Allah for hardship. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to ask Allah for well-being and protection. But when Allah chooses a test for us, we trust that His wisdom is greater than our understanding, because Allah never wastes the pain of a believing servant. Every tear that falls for His sake is seen, every patient moment is recorded, every silent act of trust is known to Him. Not a single second of your struggle disappears without reward. Perhaps the greatest mercy hidden inside pain is that it teaches us that this world was never meant to be our final home. Every disappointment reminds us that perfect happiness does not exist here. Every loss reminds us that everything in this dunya is temporary. Every hardship gently turns the believer's heart toward Jannah, where there is no sadness, no fear, no goodbye, no broken hearts, no waiting, only eternal peace in the mercy of Allah. So if today you are carrying a pain that no one else understands, do not rush to believe that Allah has abandoned you. Perhaps He is protecting you from something your eyes cannot see. Perhaps He is preparing your heart for a blessing greater than the one you lost. Perhaps He is answering your dua in a way your limited understanding cannot yet recognize. And perhaps, years from now, you will look back on this very season with tears in your eyes and quietly whisper, Alhamdulillah, Ya Allah, if you had not broken my plans, I would never have found your better plan. If you had not tested my heart, I would never have known how close you truly were. The pain I once questioned was actually one of the greatest mercies you ever gave me. That is the beauty of trusting Allah. You do not need to understand every chapter while you are living it. You only need to trust the author who has already written the most beautiful ending. When you surrender completely to Allah, your biggest blessing begins to unfold. There comes a moment in the life of every sincere believer, a moment that changes everything. Not because their circumstances suddenly become easier, not because all their problems disappear overnight, but because something inside their heart changes. For so long, they spent their days chasing answers, trying to control every outcome, trying to make people understand them, trying to force doors to open, trying to hold on to things that Allah had already written to leave. The harder they held on, the more exhausted they became. Their heart became heavy. Their mind became restless. Their nights became filled with worry. They believed that if they stopped controlling everything, everything would fall apart. But slowly, after countless du'as, after endless tears, after many disappointments, the believer reaches a place they never expected. A place called complete tawakkul, a place where the heart quietly says, Ya Allah, I no longer understand everything that is happening, but I trust you completely. These words are easy to say, but they are very difficult to live. Real tawakkul is not waiting until life makes sense. Real tawakkul is trusting Allah when nothing makes sense. It is believing in His wisdom, even when your eyes cannot see it. It is believing in His mercy, even while your heart is hurting. It is believing in His promise, even when the road ahead is hidden. Many people think surrender means giving up. Islam teaches something very different. Surrender does not mean you stop making dua. It does not mean you stop working. It does not mean you stop striving for what is good. It means you continue doing everything that pleases Allah, while leaving the results completely in His hands. You plant the seed, but you trust Allah to make it grow. You knock on the door, but you trust Allah to decide which door is best for you. You continue making sincere dua every day, but you trust Allah to answer in the way that carries the greatest goodness. This is the kind of heart Allah loves, because it is no longer attached to outcomes. It is attached to its Lord. There is a beautiful change that happens when your heart reaches this level. Fear begins to lose its power. You no longer panic every time something goes wrong. You no longer feel destroyed when people leave. You no longer believe your future depends on one opportunity, one relationship, or one dream, because your heart has learned something far greater. It has learned that your future has always been in the hands of Allah, not in the hands of people, not in the hands of circumstances, not in the hands of the world. Subhanallah. Look at the life of Nabi Ibrahim, alayhi salam. Allah commanded him to leave his beloved wife Hajar and their infant son Ismail in a barren valley where there was no water, no people, no visible hope. From a human point of view, Nothing about that command seemed easy. Yet Ibrahim, alayhis salam, obeyed because he trusted Allah more than he trusted his own understanding. Hajar, alayhis salam, too, showed extraordinary trust. When she asked if Allah had commanded this, and Ibrahim, alayhis salam, replied yes, she said with complete certainty that Allah would never abandon them. Think about that beautiful faith. She did not know when help would come. She did not know how help would come. She only knew who her Lord was. Then Allah caused the blessed well of Zamzam to spring forth. A place that looked empty became one of the most blessed places on earth. What changed first? The desert? No. The circumstances? No. The first thing was complete trust in Allah. This is how Allah often works. The greatest miracles begin inside the heart, long before they appear in the world. Sometimes we believe our biggest blessing is the thing we keep asking Allah for. But after years have passed, we discover that our greatest blessing was actually becoming closer to Allah. Because once you truly know Allah, no loss can completely break you. No delay can steal your hope. No hardship can destroy your peace. The believer who knows Allah never feels completely empty, because even when everything else is taken away, Allah remains. And when Allah remains, hope remains, mercy remains, peace remains. There is another beautiful reality that many people do not notice. Very often, the blessing arrives at the exact moment your heart stops demanding it. Not because you stopped caring, but because your trust became greater than your fear. You stop saying, "My happiness depends on this one thing." Instead, you begin saying, "Ya Allah, if this is good for me, bring it close. And if it is not, replace it with something better." That is one of the most powerful du'as a believer can make, because it is a du'a filled with humility. It is a du'a that places complete confidence in Allah's knowledge instead of your own, and Allah never disappoints the servant who sincerely trusts Him. Perhaps the greatest blessing Allah wants to give you is not only a righteous spouse, or abundant rizq, or success, or relief from hardship. Perhaps His greatest gift is a heart that remains at peace, whether it has little or much. A heart that remembers Him in ease and in difficulty. A heart that loves the giver more than the gift, because every blessing in this world is temporary. Every possession will one day be left behind. Every person will eventually return to Allah. But your relationship with Allah, that is the only treasure that will remain with you forever. My dear brothers and sisters, if you have reached a point where you feel tired of worrying, tired of forcing, tired of carrying burdens that only Allah can carry, then perhaps Allah is bringing you to the most beautiful place of all. The place where your heart finally says, "Ya Allah, I trust your plan more than my own. I trust your timing more than my impatience. I trust your wisdom more than my understanding. And I trust that whatever you choose for me will always be better than anything I could ever choose for myself." When a believer reaches that level of tawakkul, something extraordinary begins to happen. Peace enters before the blessing arrives. Contentment enters before the answer comes. Hope returns before the situation changes. And then, at the moment Allah has already written, the door opens, the dua is answered, the burden is lifted, the blessing arrives. Not one day early, not one day late, exactly when Allah knows your heart is ready. And in that unforgettable moment, you do not only thank Allah for the blessing, you thank Him for every delay, every tear, every unanswered night, every closed door, every painful goodbye. Because you finally understand, Allah was never making you wait to make your life harder. He was making you wait because He was preparing something far more beautiful than your heart could imagine. So never lose hope, my dear brothers and sisters. If you are still waiting, keep praying. If you are still hurting, keep trusting. If you are still walking through a silent season, keep remembering Allah, because perhaps, at this very moment, while you can see nothing changing, Allah is preparing the biggest blessing of your life, and when it finally arrives, you will look back at every difficult chapter and say with complete certainty, Alhamdulillah, every delay was worth it. Every test brought me closer to Allah, and every moment of patience was leading me to the blessing He had been preparing all along. My dear brothers and sisters, if there is one message I hope remains in your heart after this reminder, it is this: never judge Allah's plan by the chapter you are living today. A single chapter never tells the whole story. Perhaps today you are carrying a burden that no one knows about. Perhaps you are still waiting for the dua you have been making for months, or even years. Perhaps you have watched doors close, people leave, dreams disappear, and deep inside your heart you have quietly wondered, Ya Allah, when will my turn come? If that is you, then remember this beautiful truth. Allah has never forgotten you, not for a single second. The tears you cried after everyone fell asleep, Allah saw them. The silent du'as you whispered between your sujood, Allah heard every word. The patience you showed when your heart wanted to give up, Allah recorded every moment. Nothing you have endured has been meaningless. Nothing has been wasted. Every delay has a wisdom. Every hardship has a purpose. Every closed door has a reason. And every silent test is preparing you for something your eyes cannot yet see. One day, perhaps sooner than you think, Allah will open a door that no human being could have opened. The answer will come. The relief will arrive. The blessing will unfold. And when that day comes, you will not only thank Allah for what He gave you, you will thank Him for everything He made you wait through. Because you will finally understand, if Allah had answered your dua the way you wanted, you would have received something good. But because He answered it in His perfect time, He gave you something far better. So do not stop making dua. Do not stop trusting Him. Do not stop praying. Do not stop believing in His mercy. And above all, do not let the silence convince you that Allah is absent. Sometimes His greatest blessings are being prepared in the quietest moments of your life. May Allah replace every hidden pain with peace, every fear with complete tawakkul, every unanswered dua with what is best, every tear with endless reward. And may He bless your heart with a faith so strong that no hardship can shake it. May Allah grant you righteous companions, halal rizq, a peaceful heart, a beautiful ending in this world, and the highest place in Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. If this reminder touched your heart, then don't let it stop with you. Share it with someone who may be losing hope in Allah's mercy. You never know. Your small act of sharing could become the reason someone returns to Allah. And if you would like to continue receiving reminders that strengthen your iman and bring peace to your heart, be sure to subscribe to the channel and join us again. Until next time, keep your heart attached to Allah. Keep your tongue busy with His remembrance. And never forget, the believer who trusts Allah is never truly waiting. They are being prepared for something beautiful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.